Rian sat quietly on the balcony of his space home, staring at the stars. His house was full of light, clean machines, and advanced gadgets. But his heart felt strangely empty. He was one of the richest humans alive. Years ago, he created a small energy chip that worked without fuel. That one idea made him famous across many planets. Now aliens and humans used his tech in homes, ships, and even farming. But Rian stayed hidden. No one outside his small team knew what he looked like. His face was never shown in media. He wanted peace, not fame. He had everything money could buy: a peaceful place to live, good food, and freedom to travel. But something was missing. Someone who liked him, not his wealth. Every girl he met either wanted his money or acted too impressed to be real. He wanted a real connection. One day, his assistant, a small floating robot named Tybo, rolled beside him. "You seem quiet again, Rian," it said softly. "I'm tired, Tybo," Rian replied. "People only see what I have, not who I am." Tybo's screen blinked. "There is a blind date program being started on Station Orlan. It matches people from different planets. No full names, no records, just talk." Rian turned to the robot. "No records?" "None," Tybo confirmed. "It could be what you're looking for." After a few seconds, Rian smiled. "Let's do it. But this time, I go as someone else. No money, no name, just me." Rian packed only simple clothes, worn boots, plain shirt, and an old travel bag. His special card that could buy anything stayed behind. He took a small toolkit and told Tybo to stay hidden unless needed. He traveled alone to Station Orlan, a busy meeting place floating between human and alien worlds. There were glowing hallways, clear elevators, and peaceful music playing through the speakers. The station was full of beings: tall aliens with crystal skin, short ones with glowing eyes, and humans from many countries. No one looked at him twice. He liked that dot at the date hall. A quiet voice greeted him. "Welcome. Please give your code." Rian handed a small chip. A light scanned it. "Your match is waiting at table 17. He walked slowly toward the table. His heartbeat was faster than usual. He hadn't felt this nervous in years. At table 17 sat a calm-looking girl. She was not human. Her skin was light blue, with soft patterns like waves. Her hair was silver and smooth, falling gently on her shoulders. She wore simple clothes too, a long dress made of plant fibers and a small glowing stone on her wrist. She looked up and smiled kindly. "Hello, I'm Luma." Rian smiled back. "I'm Rian." They shook hands. Hers was warm and soft. "I'm from Mira," Luma said. "It's a small water planet. Very peaceful." "I'm from Earth," Rian replied. "A bit noisy but not too bad." Luma laughed lightly. "That's what I heard." They ordered tea and some alien snacks, soft bread with honey cream and warm fruit cubes. Nothing fancy, but the moment felt real. "So," Luma asked, "what do you do?" Rian thought for a second. "I fix things, machines mostly. Just a small job, nothing important." She nodded. "That sounds nice. I like people who work with their hands." Rian felt relaxed. She didn't ask more. She didn't look disappointed. She didn't fake a smile. She just listened. "What about you?" Rian asked. "I used to study music," she said. "But now I travel and learn about other worlds." "Do you miss your home?" "Sometimes," she answered. "But I think the heart must travel before it understands where it belongs." Rian looked at her, impressed. She spoke simply but with deep meaning. A small silence came, but it wasn't awkward. It felt soft, like quiet music. They talked more about foods, funny travel stories, and strange customs from their planets. Luma told him how on Mira, people greet each other with a small song. Rian laughed and said on Earth, some people yell instead of sing. She laughed too. "That's very different." After an hour, Luma stood up. "Would you like to walk around the station?" "Of course," Rian said, standing as well. They walked through the glowing gardens of the upper deck. Plants from many worlds grew under clear domes. Some floated, some danced, and some glowed. Luma touched a soft red flower, and it sang a tiny note. Rian watched her closely. She looked calm, not trying to impress, not trying to show off. Just being herself. He smiled softly. She turned and caught his eyes. "What? Nothing," he said. "Just thinking. This is nice." "I think so too," she replied. Later that night, Rian sat in his small room on the station. The bed was hard, the air smelled of metal, and the walls were thin. But he didn't care. Tybo appeared. In a quiet beep. "How was the meeting?" Rian leaned back and smiled. "She's interesting, honest. I want to know more." "Shall I begin a background scan?" Tybo asked. Rian shook his head. "No, let's keep it fair. I test her, but I won't cheat." The robot's screen blinked in approval. "Very well." As Rian looked at the stars from his small window, one thought stayed in his mind. Maybe this time it's not about what I have, but who I choose to be. The next day, soft light filled the space station as morning arrived. Although there was no real sun, the station's systems changed the lighting to match the time. Rian woke up early. His mind was filled with thoughts of Luma. He stood in front of a small mirror and checked his clothes. A plain gray shirt, simple black trousers, and the same old boots. He looked like an ordinary worker, just as he wanted. He smiled at his reflection. "I hope she shows up," he whispered. He left his small room and made his way to the market deck, where he had planned to meet Luma. The place was busy. Vendors from different planets were setting up their stalls. There were fruits that floated, glowing tools, colorful scarves, and small singing stones. People were laughing, buying, talking. It was a living, breathing place. Rian stood near a small tea stall, waiting. A soft voice called behind him, "Rian?" He turned. Luma stood there with a small smile. She wore a plain dress again, this time. Green with small white dots that looked like stars. "You came," Rian said, smiling back. "Of course," Luma replied. "I had a good time yesterday." They both ordered a warm drink made from ziri leaves. It tasted like mint and honey. They walked slowly through the market, sipping their drinks as they walked. A small alien child ran past them, holding a round toy. But suddenly, the toy slipped and broke on the ground. The child looked sad and sat down, trying to fix it. Rian stopped. He walked over, knelt down, and took the toy gently. It was a simple spinning ball with glowing lines. One of the lines was broken. "Can I try?" Rian asked the child. The child nodded. Rian pulled out a small tool from his pocket. It was an old energy fixer. In a few seconds, the toy's light returned, spinning beautifully again. The child's face lit up. "Thank you," the child said in a small voice before running back to their parent. Luma watched the whole moment in silence. "You're good with your hands," she said, walking beside him again. Rian shrugged. "Just an old habit. You didn't have to stop," she said. "Most people don't notice things like that." "I like fixing things," Rian replied simply. Luma smiled but didn't say anything more. They moved toward a small food corner. The station had a corner with street food from Earth, Mira, and even other lesser-known planets. The smell of spices, oils, and sweet dough filled the air. "Hungry?" Rian asked. "A little," Luma said. They both bought simple food, fried root rolls and sweet water drops. They found a bench and sat down to eat. While eating, Rian asked, "Why did you join this blind date program?" Luma looked at the food in her hand, then at Rian. "Back home, people only see titles. Who your family is, what job you have. They don't care who you are." Rian nodded slowly. "That sounds familiar." "I wanted to meet someone without masks," she said. "Not a name, not a family title, just a person." Rian looked at her. He realized they both were hiding their true lives, but for the same reason, to find something real. "Do you miss home?" he asked again. "Yes," she said. "But I like learning new things, and I like people who are not perfect." "Not perfect?" Rian raised an eyebrow. "Yes," she said. "Real people make mistakes, but they also grow. That's what I like." Rian looked down for a moment. He felt something warm inside. He never thought someone would say such things in such simple words. As they finished eating, a sudden voice shouted in the market, "Stop! That's mine!" A vendor, a tall creature with 4 arms, was chasing a small, dirty alien boy. The boy had taken a small crystal and tried to run. The vendor caught him by the arm. Rian and Luma turned to watch. "Thief!" the vendor yelled. The boy cried, "I was hungry. I didn't mean to." Rian stepped forward, but Luma got there first. "Wait," she said gently to the vendor. "Let me pay for it." The vendor looked angry. "He tried to steal," Luma nodded. "But he didn't run far. He was caught, and he said he's hungry. Let me pay." The vendor looked at the boy, then at Luma. After a moment, he nodded. "Fine, but don't let it happen again." Luma gave him a small credit chip, then turned to the boy and gave him a wrapped roll of food. "Here," she said softly. "Eat this and don't steal again. There are better ways." The boy nodded quickly and ran off. Rian watched in silence. When she returned, he said, "That was kind of you." "He was just hungry," Luma said. "Sometimes people do wrong things because they are desperate. That doesn't make them bad." Rian felt even more sure now. She didn't act proud, didn't act rich or spoiled. She had a good heart. Later, they walked to a quiet deck with windows that showed the stars. "I like space," Luma said, sitting down. "It reminds me how small we are. And that maybe, just maybe, there's someone out there who understands us." Rian sat beside her. "Maybe that someone is closer than you think." Luma looked at him, then smiled. That night in his room, Rian sat with Tybo. She helped a stranger, Rian said. "She didn't care about money or looks. She didn't even ask what I really do." Tybo hovered. "You seem surprised." "I guess I am," Rian said. "She might be the first person I've met in years who didn't want anything from me. Except honesty," Tybo replied. Rian nodded. "Yes, and I think I want to give her that." The next day, the space station felt more alive than usual. Bright lights flickered in the market area. Sounds of alien music floated in the air. Small children laughed while running past food stalls. It was a festival day, a day when traders from nearby planets showed their best items. Rian stood near a small tool stall, waiting for Luma. He had arrived early again. He didn't mind. He enjoyed watching the crowd, especially how many different kinds of people mixed together. Some wore fine clothes, some simple ones. But today, all looked happy. Luma arrived wearing a soft blue robe that shimmered slightly under the lights. Her smile was calm as always. "Hello, Rian," she greeted. "Good to see you again," he replied. They started walking together through the rows of stalls. The market was full of color and sound. There were fruit lights that floated above the vendors' heads. Small creatures painted art using their tails. A robot juggler danced to fast beats. "Have you ever seen something like this before?" Rian asked. "Not quite," Luma said, laughing. "It's more alive than anything on Mira. There, everything is calm." "I guess Earth is somewhere in between," Rian said. "Sometimes calm, sometimes crazy." They walked past a crystal cellar. The vendor was showing different colored crystals that could glow, change temperature, or play soft music when touched. Luma stopped to admire a purple one that hummed like a soft wind. "It's beautiful," she said. "You like music," Rian remembered. She nodded. "This one sounds like the river songs of Mira." As she gently touched the crystal, Rian looked around. A man behind the stall watched them with sharp eyes. Suddenly his hand moved and he pointed at Rian. "You!" The man shouted. "What did you do?" Everyone around stopped and looked. "What do you mean?" Rian asked, surprised. "You touched my crystal," the vendor shouted. "Now it's gone." "What?" Rian blinked. "I didn't take anything. Liar. You were standing right there." The vendor accused. Luma stepped forward quickly. "Wait, I was with him the whole time. He didn't steal anything." "He must have hidden it," the vendor growled, walking closer. A crowd began to gather. Eyes stared. A few people whispered. Rian felt uncomfortable. He wasn't used to attention like this. His heart beat faster. But he didn't speak yet. He wanted to see what Luma would do. Luma raised her hand. "Calm down, please. This is a mistake. You trust him?" The vendor asked, pointing again. "You don't even know who he is." "I trust what I saw," Luma said firmly. "He didn't take your crystal. Maybe it was moved. Maybe someone else touched it." Just then, a small child near the corner dropped something shiny. The same purple crystal rolled across the floor that the vendor's eyes widened. "That's it." The child looked scared. I just wanted to hear it sing. I didn't know ... The vendor picked up the crystal and looked at Rian. "I'm sorry," he said slowly. "I made a mistake." "It's fine," Rian replied quietly, but Luma didn't let it go. "Next time, look carefully before accusing someone. Especially a kind person." The crowd slowly moved away. Rian and Luma walked toward a quieter area. "Are you all right?" Luma asked. "I'm fine," Rian said. "Thank you for speaking for me." "You didn't seem scared," she said. "I was more curious," he replied. "Curious?" "I wanted to see how you would react," he said honestly. She stopped walking and looked at him. "So this was a test?" No, he said. Quickly, not planned. But I did watch, and I was impressed." Luma smiled a little. "We all test each other in small ways." Rian nodded. "I suppose we do." They sat on a bench near a small fountain. The water wasn't real. It was a hologram, but the sound felt calming. Around them, the station glowed with soft gold lights for the festival. Luma looked up at the light. "When I was young, I thought stars were holes in the sky." "What do you think now?" Rian asked. "I think stars are reminders," she said. "That even in the darkness something beautiful shines." Rian was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "You always speak in such a gentle way." "I believe in soft truths," she said. "Loud words don't always carry the right meaning." Rian liked that. He had lived in a world of loud people, business, news, fame. Everyone tried to speak louder than the next. But Luma's quiet voice stayed longer in his mind. After a while, Luma turned to him. "What do you think about today's test?" Rian smiled. "You passed." She raised an eyebrow. "And you?" "I passed too, I hope." She laughed gently. "I think you did." Later that night, Rian sat alone in his room again. Tybo appeared from the corner, floating slowly. "Another good day?" the robot asked. "Yes," Rian replied. "Anything unusual?" Rian thought for a second. "Someone accused me of stealing." Tybo's screen blinked. "Shall I report them?" "No," Rian said quickly. "It wasn't serious. It gave me a chance to see something." "See what?" "How Luma thinks, how she sees others." Tybo floated closer. "And what did you learn?" "That she listens to her heart, not to noise." "That matters more than I thought." "Are you ready to tell her the truth yet?" Tybo asked. "Not yet," Rian said softly. "But maybe ... soon." He looked out the window. The stars were still shining ... and for the first time in a long while, Rian felt something real growing inside, hope. The next morning, the space station's artificial sky glowed in soft shades of orange and gold. The festival was over, and the crowd had returned to its normal rhythm. Traders packed their stalls, visitors left in small ships. But for Rian, something was just beginning. He walked quietly through the lower deck of Station Orlan, carrying a small wrapped box in his hand. It wasn't expensive, just a music stone, the kind that played soft tones when held. He had found it the night before and thought of Luma instantly. It wasn't grand, but it was honest. He reached the public garden dome where they had planned to meet. It was peaceful there, trees from different planets, artificial wind, and soft green paths. In one corner, Luma was standing near a glowing flower tree. She turned when she heard his footsteps. "Hello, Rian," she said with a warm smile. "I brought you something," Rian said shyly, handing her the small box. Luma opened it slowly. The music stone inside began to hum a quiet tune. Her eyes lit up with joy. "It sounds like a Moran River song," she said. "How did you find this?" "I just listened to many stones until I found the one that reminded me of your voice," Rian said honestly. Luma looked at him for a few seconds and said, "That's very kind." They walked together along the garden path. The sounds of soft wind and birds, both artificial, gave the space a natural feeling. "Do you ever miss Earth?" Luma asked. Rian nodded. "Sometimes, but Earth changed a lot." "So many people, so much noise. I prefer quiet places now." "Same," she said. "Mira is peaceful, but it became too quiet for me. I wanted to see how other people live, think, and feel." "You're very curious," Rian said. "I think curiosity is the start of understanding," she replied. They sat on a wooden bench near a small pond. A few colorful birds flew above them, their wings glowing in soft colors. Rian looked at the water. "Can I tell you something personal?" "Of course," Luma said. "My parents died when I was young," he began. "They were scientists working on Earth's early energy systems. One of their experiments failed. There was an explosion." Luma's expression turned gentle. "I'm sorry, Rian. It's all right. I was just a boy. After that, I lived in a small home. I liked fixing things, radios, lights, broken machines. I didn't have much, but I learned a lot." "Your heart stayed strong," Luma said. Rian smiled weakly. "Maybe I just kept building." Years later, I made a small chip that changed how machines stored energy. That chip made life easier for people, and it changed my life too. Luma looked surprised. "You made an energy chip?" "Just a basic one," Rian said, still keeping his full identity hidden. "It's used in farming tools now." "That's very special," she said softly. "Helping others is the highest kind of work." Rian looked at her, trying to read her face. She wasn't shocked or impressed in the way most people acted when they heard about inventions. She was thoughtful. "What about you?" Rian asked. "You never told me much about your life before this station." Luma looked at the pond for a moment. Then she said, "I was born into a respected family. We had rules, titles, responsibilities. Everything was planned." "You mean a royal family?" Rian guessed. Luma gave a small nod. "Something like that. On Mira, leaders are chosen through family lines. My path was fixed. But I didn't want that life. I wanted to choose my own way." "So you left?" "Yes," she said. "I asked for a break, time to travel and find my truth." "That must have been hard," Rian said. "It was," Luma replied. "But I had to know who I was when no one knew my name." Rian sat back surprised. They both had come here for the same reason, to be seen as real people, not for their names, jobs, or wealth. "I'm glad you came," he said quietly. "I'm glad you did too," she answered. As they continued walking, they passed by a small shop that sold memory orbs. These were tiny floating balls that could record and play back special moments in full detail. Luma stopped. "Do you want to try one?" "I've never used one," Rian admitted. She smiled and handed a small coin to the vendor. The orb floated up and began to glow. "Speak," it said in a soft tone. Luma turned to Rian. Say something honest, just one sentence. Rian thought, then said, I came here looking for someone who could see me, not my name. The orb glowed brighter and floated in front of Luma. Her voice followed. I came here hoping someone would care about my thoughts, not my title. The orb shone with warm light, then returned to the vendor. It will hold those words forever, the vendor said. Rian and Luma looked at each other. In that moment, something quiet and deep passed between them. That evening, Rian walked back to his room, his heart heavy but full. Tybo was waiting inside. You were gone for a long time, the robot said. I needed to be, Rian replied. Tybo floated closer. You're starting to care about her. Rian nodded. Yes, but I'm afraid too. Why? Because she might walk away when she learns the truth. Tybo was silent for a moment. Then it said, or she might stay, because of the truth. Rian looked out the window again. The stars blinked quietly in the black sky. I need to tell her soon, he whispered. She deserves that. And on another part of the station, Luma sat by her own window, holding the small music stone. She touched it gently, and the soft river song began to play. She closed her eyes and smiled. But deep inside she too was hiding a truth. And soon, both secrets would rise to the surface. Seemed sharper, the sounds louder. Rian woke up with a strange heaviness in his chest. The closer he grew to Luma, the harder it became to carry his secret. He stood by the window, watching the stars shift outside. Behind him, Tybo floated silently. Waiting. She trusts me, Rian said softly. And I'm still lying, Tybo beeped quietly. You didn't lie. You only hid your full truth. Rian turned to the small robot. That's the same thing, Tybo. She sees me as a poor mechanic. But that's not who I am. Not fully. Maybe she sees more than that, Tybo replied. Maybe she sees your heart. Rian smiled sadly. She deserves better than half-truths. Just then, a loud beep came from Tybo. The robot's screen flashed a warning. Incoming alert. Media leak confirmed match to Rian Silos, Earth Inventor. Rian's eyes widened. What is this? He asked quickly. Tybo's voice became serious. A news network has discovered your location. Your image and name have been shared. They matched a photo of you taken yesterday in the Garden Dome. Rian felt his stomach twist. So it's out? Yes, Tybo said. Reporters are coming. Some may already be on the station. Rian paced the room. I have to tell her before they do. She can't find out from a news screen. Tybo hovered toward the door. Then go, now. Luma was in the art dome, walking through a new exhibit of Miran holograms. The soft lights painted images of water, sky, and song. She stood near a sculpture made of sound waves and listened, her eyes closed. Rian entered, breathless, looking around until he saw her. She turned and smiled when she saw him, but then paused. Rian, she said, noticing the worry in his eyes. What happened? There's something I need to tell you, he said. She stepped closer. What is it? But before he could speak, a voice echoed from a nearby screen. Breaking news. Inventor Rian Silo spotted on Station Orlin. The creator of Earth's most powerful microenergy chip has been living under a hidden name. The screen showed a photo, his face, walking in the garden with Luma. Luma turned to look at it, then back at Rian. She blinked slowly. It's you, she said softly. Rian lowered his head. Yes, I wanted to tell you. I planned to. I just didn't know how. Luma was quiet for a long moment. You're not just a mechanic, she said. No, he admitted. I'm the one who made the Zetra chip. I sold it to the Galactic Union. I've been rich ever since. But I never showed my face. I kept everything hidden. Why? She asked, her voice calm but firm. Because people changed when they knew, he said. They either wanted something from me or they became fake. I got tired of it. So you tested me? She asked. Rian nodded slowly. I did. I needed to know if someone could like me without all that. And you were real, honest, kind. Luma took a step back. Her eyes didn't show anger, just deep thought. I don't like lies, Rian, she said. I know, he replied. And I'm sorry, truly. The dome lights changed softly as another art scene began. The silence between them felt heavier than before. But I also understand, she said finally. Because I did the same. Rian looked up, confused. What do you mean? I'm not just some traveler from Mira, she said. My full name is Lumaretta. I'm the daughter of Mira's high speaker. Rian's mouth opened slightly. So, you're royalty. In a way, yes, she said. I left that life to explore. To be seen as more than a name. They both stared at each other for a moment, not angry, not proud, just surprised. So we both hid our truths. Rian said, yes, she agreed. For the same reason. They sat down on a nearby bench as the dome changed again, this time showing stars slowly forming galaxies. I should have told you sooner, Rian said. So should I, Luma replied. I didn't want to ruin what we had, Rian said. And now? She asked. I still feel the same, he said. Maybe even more now. Luma looked at him carefully. You came to tell me before the news reached me. That matters. Rian nodded. I don't care about your credits, your fame, or your chip, Luma said softly. I like the man who helped a child fix a toy. The man who shared food with me and listened when I spoke. Rian smiled. And I liked the girl who stood up for a stranger, he replied. The girl who gave food to a hungry boy and smiled at my small music gift. They both laughed gently, the tension fading. So, what now? Rian asked. I don't know, Luma said. But I'm not walking away, even after the truth? Yes, she said, because it's the truth that made this real. Later, outside the art dome, news drones floated by, searching for Rian. He and Luma slipped into a side hallway. Quietly, you'll be in every news report now, Luma said. I don't want to be. Rian replied. Then we disappear, she said. He looked at her in surprise. You'd do that? I already left one world behind, she said, smiling. Leaving another won't scare me. Back in Rian's room, Taibo floated in circles. Did you tell her? The robot asked. Yes, Rian said. And she told me something too. Are we safe? Taibo beeped. For now, Rian answered. But we need to leave before the reporters knock on this door. Where will we go? Taibo asked. Rian turned to Luma and smiled. Anywhere, he said. As long as we go together. That night, two figures walked quietly toward the transport bay. No guards, no titles, no attention. Just two souls who had found truth in each other. Above them, the stars still watched silently as secrets faded and something beautiful began. After their quiet escape from the art dome, Rian and Luma found a small hidden lounge on the station's outer ring. The place was empty, with soft blue lights and cushioned seats. It was peaceful, a place where no one would come looking. For them, they sat across from each other, the weight of their recent revelations settling between them like a silent river. Rian broke the silence. I'm sorry I hid so much from you, Luma shook her head slowly. You didn't hide to hurt me. You hid to protect yourself. Rian looked down at his hands. I didn't want you to see the millionaire, the inventor. I wanted you to see the real me. But I ended up hiding so much that I forgot who that was. Luma smiled gently. We all do that sometimes. We build walls, masks, to keep ourselves safe. Do you regret leaving your home? Leaving your family? Rian asked softly. Luma's eyes looked far away, as if searching for a memory. At first, yes. But then I learned that the hardest part of growing up is choosing who you want to be, not who others want you to be. Rian nodded. I know that. Feeling well. After my parents died, I had no one to tell me who to be. I had to find my own way. Their eyes met, and something unspoken passed between them, a quiet understanding born of shared pain and hope. Luma reached into her pocket and pulled out a small, worn crystal. This was my mother's, she told me. True strength is found not in power, but in kindness. I think that's why I left. To find kindness, even in strangers. Rian smiled. Kindness. It's something the galaxy needs more of. He took from his bag a small device, a simple holographic projector. When he switched it on, a soft light filled the room, and images appeared. They were memories from his childhood. A young boy fixing a broken radio, laughing with his parents. Then alone in a small house after the explosion. I kept these memories, Rian said, to remind me who I was and who I wanted to become. Luma watched the images, her eyes softening. Thank you for sharing this. They sat quietly, letting the memories fill the space between them. Suddenly, Rian asked, Do you think people can change, even if their past is heavy? I believe they can, Luma answered, because change is the heart's journey. And sometimes it takes meeting someone new to begin that journey. Rian reached across the table, taking her hand gently. Then let's begin that journey together, he said. Luma squeezed his hand back. I would like that. Days passed quietly as the two spent more time together, exploring the station, talking about their hopes and dreams. Rian showed Luma his small workshop, a hidden room filled with inventions and ideas. She listened as he explained simple machines and energy concepts, her eyes wide with wonder. You have a gift, she said. Not just in machines, but in how you see the world. Rian smiled. And you have a gift in seeing the kindness in people. One evening, as they watched the stars from the observation deck, Luma spoke softly. I want to create a place where people like us, from different worlds, different stories, can meet without masks. Rian looked at her interested. A place where honesty matters more than status or wealth, she continued. Rian nodded slowly. A true connection platform. I could help build that. Luma smiled. Together. But as hope grew, so did the risks. The news of Rian's presence on the station had spread. Reporters and fans were arriving, asking questions, searching for a glimpse of the mysterious inventor. One day, as Rian and Luma walked through the market, a small crowd began to gather. Rian felt a hand on his shoulder. Turning, he saw a reporter with a recording device. Mr. Silos, can you tell us why you hid your identity? Luma stepped forward calmly. We ask that you respect our privacy. The crowd quieted, surprised by her confidence. Rian is more than an inventor, she sighed. He is a person like all of us with hopes, fears, and a heart. The reporter nodded, lowering the device. Thank you for your words. Rian looked at Luma, grateful for her support. Later, as they left the crowd behind, Rian whispered, Thank you. Luma smiled. We protect each other. That night, as they sat in their quiet lounge, Rian took Luma's hand again. No matter what happens, I want you to know, I'm not just the man you met at the market. I want to be the man you deserve. Luma looked into his eyes. And I'm not just the traveler from Mira. I want to be the woman who stands by your side. Together, they watched the stars, knowing that whatever the future held, they would face it as one. Days passed after their quiet moments on the station. The crowd's curiosity had calmed. Reporters learned to respect their wishes, and Rian and Luma found space to breathe. But something stronger had grown between them, a connection built on truth, kindness, and understanding. One morning, Rian and Luma stood together at the station's transport bay. The bright lights of ships landing and leaving filled the background. Where will we go next? Luma asked softly. Rian smiled. Anywhere we want. The galaxy is wide, and our journey is just beginning. Luma looked at him with hope. I want a place where people can meet without masks, where they can be honest like us. I was thinking the same, Rian said. A place that connects worlds, not just through trade or politics, but through heart. Together, they planned a new project, a platform for honest connection. A network where beings from all planets could meet, learn, and understand one. Another dot as they walked toward the nearest shuttle, Rian took Luma's hand. "We'll build it together," she smiled, squeezing his hand. Together, the shuttle lifted off smoothly. As they looked out the windows, stars stretched and curved in long lines. The feeling of space was quiet and full of promise. "This is just the start," Rian said. "Our past doesn't define us. Our choices do," Luma nodded. "And with each choice, we create a new story." Back on Station Orlin, their friends and allies watched the shuttle leave, knowing that something special had begun. The station's lights dimmed softly as night arrived. And somewhere among the stars, two hearts beat in time with hope. The end.